Hello friends, today we are discussing the origins of state, how the state is originated, who has found the state, what was the first state, how the first state came into power, how people have established a state. So, these are the questions that are to be answered by various theories. They are called as the theories of origin of state. Among these theories of origins of state, the social contract theory and the Marxist theory are the two important theories. In today's class, we will be discussing how the state came into existence, who has formed the state, how the first state formed, how the state got its power. So, these theories are called as the theories of origins of state. How the state originated, how the state founded, how the state was founded. So, these are called as the theories of origins of state. There are so many theories that explain about the origin of state: the divine origin theory, the social contract theory, the force theory, the matriarchal theory and patriarchal theory. These are various theories that explain about the origin of state. The divine origin theory says it is only the God that has established the state, and people obeyed to God and accepted the king, and king has established the state. This is called as the divine origin theory. The second important theory is social contract theory. This theory believes it is only the people, but not the God, that have created the state. State is created only by people. So, state is a human institution. There is no interference of God in the creation of state according to social contract theory. And third theory says it is the strong man in the society that have established the state. A strong man in the society used to provide protection and safety to weaker people, and he used to collect taxes from the other people, and he himself claimed as a king. This is how a strong man has established the state. This theory is called as the force theory. And the fourth one is matriarchal theory. The matriarchal theory and patriarchal theory are called as the family theories. According to these theories, the matriarchal theory believes that it is the women that have formed the state. The women in the family have formed the state. And matriarchal theory believes that lineage of women from mother to daughter, daughter to granddaughter, granddaughter to great granddaughter. Likewise, the political succession came in the form of matriarchal lineage, mother's lineage. That is how the state is formed. And opposing to this theory, the patriarchal theory believes it is only the men that have formed the state. It is not the women, but it is the men that have formed the state according to patriarchal theory. So, these theories, all these theories are called as the speculative theories, and they are called as the assumptive theories. They are the wild assumptions. There is an element of truth, there may be an element of truth in each theory, but these theories are not completely true. They are sometimes unscientific also. So, but these theories have an element of truth in each theory. So, these theories are called as the assumptive theories or speculative theories. In other words, these theories are called as the imaginatory theories. So, imagination theories only imagine how the state could have come into existence in the history. Among them, we have the social contract theory is an important theory that we are going to discuss today. The social contract theory believes that it is only the human being that have created the state. State is a creation of human being. State is the creation of human mind. It is only the human mind that have created the state and government. But there is no interference of God in the creation of state. But divine origin theory believes that it is the God, it is Almighty that have created the state. In fact, all religions in the world, the Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Jainism, Zoroastrianism, Judaism, Taoism, all these theories believe that it is only the God that have created the king, that have created the state. These are called as the divine origin theories. But opposing to divine origin theory, the social contract theory believes that the state is created by human beings, not by God. So, state is the creation of human being. There is no role of God in the creation of state according to social contract theory. Social contract theory was propagated by three important philosophers. The main exponents of this social contract theory are Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, Jean-Jacques Rousseau. These are the three important philosophers who propagated this theory. Thomas Hobbes belongs to 16th and 17th centuries. John Locke belonged to 17th and 18th centuries. Rousseau belongs to 18th century. So, these three philosophers opposed the divine origin theory and they propagated the social contract theory. According to this theory, state is created by human being. State is the creation of human mind. It is only the human beings, it is only the individuals, it is only the people that have created the state. And there is no role for God in the creation of state according to social contract theory. Now, let us see what are the main important components of social contract theory. Social contract theory has 6 important components. It discusses about human nature, state of nature, social contract and parties and conditions of contract and inconveniences in the state of nature, sovereignty and rights of the individual. So, these are the 6 important points that all the 3 philosophers have given in detail. Now, let us discuss what is human nature. This point believes that it is only the human being that have created the state. Why only human being created the state? Why there is no need of a state for animals? Why there is no need of state for other creatures in the nature? Why only human beings require a state? This explains about the human nature. According to these philosophers, human nature is unassuming. Human nature has certain negative points and also the positive points. It is the human nature, it is the selfishness of the human nature that have created certain social conditions. Those social conditions have warranted the people to create a state. State is a necessity of human nature, because human nature is not always good. Sometimes it is negative. According to Thomas Hobbes, man is selfish, man is self-centered, man is egoistic, man is arrogant. This is how he may have so many negative qualities. All these negative qualities created negative conditions in the society that have created the state. To avoid those negative conditions and establish a peaceful atmosphere in the society, a state is required, a government is required. So, that is how human nature decided the establishment of state. This is the first point. Secondly, state of nature. What is state of nature? State of nature is the condition of the people when there was no government, when there was no state, when there was no protection, when there were no rights, when there was no authority, when there was no constitution, when there was no judiciary, how people were living in the primitive stage. During the primitive years, how people living in a forest, in a collective life, without any state, without any government, without any police, without any law, without any administration, how people were living in the nature, that's called as the state of nature. In the state of nature, sometimes it was peaceful, sometimes it was very violent. People have so many emotions, people sometimes outburst, people violently react to other people's reactions. That's how there is violence and anarchy in the state of nature. To avoid that violence and to avoid that anarchic conditions, a state is required, the government is required. The government is required to bring a law and order in the society. Safety and security of the people should be guaranteed. Without a law, safety of the people is not guaranteed. That's why the state of nature is the second important point that warranted people to have a government. And thirdly, the social contract. The social contract is a contract among the people. It's an agreement among the people. People made an agreement among themselves to elect a king and to pay taxes to the king and to get security from the king and to get their freedoms protected by the king. So, these are the contract. This is an agreement. This is an agreement among the people, each against all and all against each. This is how the social contract is a contract or an agreement among the people that forced the establishment of a government. So, this is the third important aspect. And fourthly, inconveniences in the state of nature. When there was no government, when there was no law, when there was no state, when there was no constitution, when there was no police, there is a lot of inconvenience to the people. People suffered their physical safety. People suffered their intellectual safety. People have no development. People have no fine arts. People have no education. People have no protection against other people. That's why there are so many inconveniences in the state of nature. To avoid those inconveniences and to answer those inconveniences, a state is established, the government is established. So, inconveniences in the state of nature is another important aspect that forced the people to have a law, to have a government, to have a sovereign power. So, this is the fourth point. And the fifth point is sovereignty. Sovereignty means supreme power. Who should rule the people? According to Thomas Hobbes, people have elected a king, people have given him a power to rule all the people and to give them protection and to protect the rights of the people. That's how he is given the supreme power. That supreme power is called as the sovereignty. The sovereignty or the supreme power of the king is absolute, is unchallengeable, is unquestionable. The unquestionable power, unchallengeable power of the government or the people is called as the sovereignty. So, sovereignty is located in a king by Thomas Hobbes, in a government elected by people by John Locke, and Rousseau located it among the people. So, this is how sovereignty is defined according to each political philosopher. And lastly, rights of the individual. Social contract theory provides for the rights of the individual. The rights of the individual are to be protected. These three philosophers have propagated the rights of the people. According to Thomas Hobbes, whatever the rights that the king grant to the people, people should enjoy those rights. And whatever the rights that people were blessed with by the government, those rights only are the final rights. And besides this, Hobbes says people have the right to self-preservation. And John Locke, another important philosopher, says rights are not given by the government, rights are natural, that means by birth, by virtue of birth, each individual gets his rights: right to life, right to liberty, right to property. These are the three important rights that people get by virtue of their birth. From cradle to grave, every individual is endowed with the right to life, right to liberty, and right to property. So, this is how, according to John Locke, rights are the gifts of the nature. Rights are gifted by nature by virtue of his birth to every individual. And according to Rousseau, rights emanated by the nature, but rights are limited by the society. Society limits the rights, because if each individual has absolute freedom without any limitation, only certain individuals can enjoy the freedom, other people cannot enjoy. That is why when we are living in a civil society, our rights should be limited by reasonable restrictions. So, the rights with reasonable restrictions are called as the civil rights. So, civil rights are given by Rousseau. So, these three philosophers have propagated the civil rights of the people. Now, let us recapitulate all the points of social contract theory. The social contract theory says the human nature is the first component that forced for a state. Secondly, the social contract theory explains about the state of nature, and social contract theory explains about the social contract and different parties of the contract and conditions of the contract. And fourthly, inconveniences in the state of nature. And fifthly, the sovereignty or the supreme power of the state. And sixth one is the rights of the individual. So, these are the issues that are established by social contract theory. Now, let us see who are the main important philosophers of social contract. The social contract theory was first systematically propagated by Thomas Hobbes in his great book Leviathan. Leviathan is the book written by Thomas Hobbes. In that book Leviathan, he has explained about the establishment of state. In the establishment of state, he has explained about the human nature, state of nature, inconveniences in the state of nature, social contract and parties of the contract, sovereignty and rights of the individual. These are very well explained by Thomas Hobbes. According to Thomas Hobbes, individual is selfish, is self-centered, is egoistic, is arrogant, he is temperate. That is why all the negative qualities are there in every individual. When all the individuals are with negative quarters, negative qualities and negative characters, the state of nature is also negative. It is a dark picture where individuals have lived in a very solitary life, poor life, brutal life, nasty life and short life. So, he has explained this in 5 adjectives: solitary, poor, nasty, brutish and short. Solitary, poor, nasty, brutish and short. Solitary, poor, nasty, brutish and short. These are the 5 negative qualities that are there in the state of nature. Every individual is violent, every individual is selfish, every individual is arrogant. In such a society, there is no society as such, it is only pre-social, It is a pre-political and pre-social condition where there is no government, there is no society, there is no law. People used to kill each other. People used to behave in a violent manner against each other. So, in such a condition, people have one good quality, that is natural justice. Though people are bad, people have one good quality, that is their consciousness knows that they are bad. They know what is good and bad. They know what is just and injustice. They know what is proper and improper. So, with that natural justice, people assembled at one place and made a contract among themselves, and they have decided to elect a king. So, this is how the king is elected by the people. The king is the result of the contract. He is not a party to the contract. People elected the king. The agreement is among the people to elect a king. King is the result of the contract. He is not a party to the contract. And king is given sovereign power. He is absolute sovereign. His powers are unquestionable, unchallengeable. Nobody should challenge the king. If you challenge the king, you are driven back to state of nature, where the violence, where the arrogance, where the deceitful nature of the human beings again surface. So, this is how the human nature is very bad, state of nature is very bad, and people made a contract and elected a king to control themselves, to bring a peaceful society. That is the result of the contract. And sovereignty is absolute sovereign in the hands of the king. And people have only two rights. One is the rights guaranteed by the king to the people, and secondly, the right to self-preservation. The right to self-preservation means if the sovereign power of the king himself kills the people, then people can resist the king. People have the right to self-defense. So, this is how these are the two types of rights that people have according to Leviathan of Thomas Hobbes. And second book is John Locke. John Locke is another important philosopher who propagated the idea of social contract in his great book, Two Treatises on Civil Government. Two Treatises on Civil Government is a great book of 16th and 17th centuries. In fact, this book has created ripples in the European society and motivated people against the British monarch, and it was resultant in the glorious revolution of 1688 in England. So, John Locke has written a book, the Two Treatises on Civil Government. In that book, he has explained about the social contract, how the state is originated. According to John Locke, human beings are good, human beings are peaceful, human beings are friendly, human beings are cooperative, but human beings also have certain conditions where they become violent. In such a condition, human beings made two contracts. With one contract, they have established the state, with another contract, they have established the government. And they also have the sovereign power. The sovereign power is in the hands of the people, that is called as political sovereignty, with the minimum powers to the king, maximum rights to the people. So, this is also called as individualism. And thirdly, there is another important philosopher called Rousseau. Rousseau has given Social Contract his book. In this book, he has established how the state has come into existence. Here he explains about the popular sovereignty in the form of general will. So, this is how social contract theory is a great theory that explains about the origination of state. Another important theory that explains about the state, origin of state, is Marxist theory. The Marxist theory views that the state is a creation of the rich people. There are two economic classes in every society, the rich classes and the poor classes. State is a necessity when the society was divided into two economic classes. where the rich people are very dominant and poor people are very subservient. So, the rich people have established the state according to the Marxist theory, and rich people used the state as an instrument of exploitation. They exploited the poor people with the help of the government, with the help of the state. So, that is how the state is an instrument of exploitation. It is an exploitation instrument. Rich people used it, and its laws, its jails, its judiciary, its judges, its army to exploit the poor people. Thereby, the rich people become rich, richer and richest, and poor people become poor, poorer and poorest. So, the state facilitated the exploitation of poor people. The richer sections in the society have exploited the poor people, and state has become an instrument of exploitation. It is an instrument in the hands of rich people. In fact, the Karl Marx have classified societies into 4 types: the primitive societies, the ancient societies, the feudal societies and capitalist societies. In all these societies, it is only the richer sections of the society that have exploited the poor people. The poor people have faced exploitation in the hands of the rich people, and poor people have become destitutes. They have become destitutes without any public health, without any guarantee for their dignified life. This is how state has become an instrument of exploitation. And after that, people revolted against the state and have achieved a revolution. That is how a socialist revolution occurred, and dictatorship of the proletariat. Proletariat means workers. The dictatorship of the workers have become a state, and people have established the worker state. The working classes in the society have established a dictatorship in the form of state. That is called as the socialist revolution. So, this is how Marxist theory have explained about how the state is originated as a result of 2 contending classes, the rich classes and poor classes in the society, and how the state has become an instrument of exploitation by rich classes, and how poor classes have suffered the exploitation, and how the poor people revolted against the richer sections and a socialist revolution has occurred, and as a result how the working classes have established a state in the form of dictatorship of the proletariat. So, this is how Marxist theory explains about the economic classes and a classless society in a socialist state. Thank you friends, thank you very much.